Okay. Hi, my name is Marcy Silver, and welcome to the inside scoop of living with cerebral palsy. So, I am Marcy Silver, speech language pathologist here in New York City and also licensed in California and Connecticut. And I'd like to welcome everybody. So, this group came about because I do a speaking series called Silver Speech Speaking Series, where I interview my clients on their experience with their diagnosis, their experience with speech therapy, and other areas that they have to endure every day. So I really enjoyed my interview with both Kayla Ireland and Katrina Darcy. Kayla was my student years ago at 3 years old, and we kept in touch over the years, developing a relationship through Facebook and through email and through Instagram. And, now we're really good friends. And Katrina Darcy and I went to Katrina Darcy James because she's now married. We were really good friends in elementary school. So
long ago.
So I had so much fun interviewing them for actually my first couple interviews. And so it was really good to see, what it's like through their eyes, through their mouth, what they feel like when they grew up with cerebral palsy, what it's like now, how it's changed. So we are going to kick off the inside scoop of living with cerebral palsy with interviewing Katrina Darcy, who received her driver's license in adulthood with cerebral palsy. We all started this series, specifically this channel, because we had so much fun in talking with each other, getting to, just problem solving and finding out how we could reach the community of people with cerebral palsy, parents of cerebral palsy. So here we are. So without further ado, I am introducing Kayla, the interviewer, and Katrina, the interviewee. So here we go.
Thank you, Marcy, for that introduction. On June 25th, Katrina passed her driver's license, which is a huge milestone for everyone, not to mention for someone with extra obstacles. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yay.
So we are here today to hear from her about the inside scoop of this amazing accomplishment. How long did it take you to study for the written part?
Just a couple of weeks. DMV actually has an app you can download onto your phone. So it gives you pretty much the answers that are on the test.
Wow. So you only needed 2 weeks to study for that.
The written part, yeah, it's only 20 questions.
Well, I guess because
you have to actually hold an adult permit now for 90 days before you can get your license.
Wow. And I guess also, because you're now an adult and you've, been behind, you've been sitting in a passenger seat for so long and, observing your children getting their driver's license and your husband, all of that, it was, you knew the rules.
Right.
Versus a 16-year-old who really barely had anything to do with
it. My son actually takes his permit test Thursday, so we'll see.
Cool.
He's 17, so.
Ooh, that's fun. You took
I don't know. I still don't want him to drive, but he's been begging, so I kind of had to give in at this point.
How long did it take you after you got your permit?
I actually had to go through a series of testing, but before I actually got the okay. So Dr. Selber did gait analysis, which you're probably familiar with. I've had probably 6 or 7 of them in a lifetime. And then I did a reflux test through Easter seals, which they test your reflexes to make sure that if somebody were to pull out in front of me, I'd be able to stop in time. And so I had to do all that before I could actually get behind the wheel. So I would say it was like 9 months, start to finish.
Wow, that's not so bad. That's not,
No, once I was required to take 10 hours of driving through a certified instructor who's certified through United Cerebral Palsy. So I had to take 10 hours with that person so that they could make sure I was okay. I took 15 hours just because I was nervous, but I only had to do 10.
wow.
So it was a very expensive journey, but it was worth it.
Yeah. And how was your anxiety level? Like, were you really scared or?
The first time I got in the car, when I took my test, the guy was so nice, but I was like shaking. But no, I did fine, but I was nervous just because it had been so long, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm fine now. Like I had really bad anxiety on the highway in the beginning. Like I tried to avoid it, but now I can get on the highway. I'm fine.
Was that one of your dreams growing up?
I had, since I left high school, I'm trying to think how many surgeries I've had since I've been out of high school. I think probably 7 or 8. So, which is why I was able to do it, because I did those. So, I always wanted to, but I was always told, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. So then I started going to Weinberg CP Center, and they're great there. Their goal is to get everybody with CP to live the most productive, functional life as possible, geared to that person. Like everybody has their own team that works with them. You have a social worker, you have a doctor, you have everything, anything you need, you just call and they connect you with somebody. No.
That's impressive.
Yep, I go all the way to the city. Well, they have an office in Terrytown. He's there on Fridays, so I normally see him in Terrytown. But I had my hip surgery in the city.
Mount Sinai, correct?
Nope, New York Presbyterian.
New York Presbyterian.
I forget. Millstein Hospital.
Excellent.
What made it clear for you to drive?
What made it clear? I just asked him one day during a session if you think I can get my license. So he said, "Oh, let me examine you." And then he goes, I think you'll be all right. And then he told me what I had to do. So I kind of hit, because my old doctor, Dr. Roy, moved to China to teach people about CP out there. He retired here and moved to China. And so this doctor that they recruited from Australia had come, and it was my first visit with him. So I figured, let me just take a jab at him. He doesn't really know me. Maybe he'll tell me it's okay. And he did. He said, he thought I'd be fine.
Was your family against it? If so, are they still?
They were, actually, because everybody was so used to always making themselves available for me. So my friends mostly, really, they said, it's so weird for you to meet us places now and we don't have to come get you. So, but they were against it in the beginning, but now they're fine, because now they don't have to come and get me. My family's from Bristol, so they don't have to come all the way to Danbury to get me, and then all the way back to Bristol, and then all the way to Danbury again. So
wow. So it's I guess much like a mother when their kid gets their license and they're like, oh, good, now I don't have to drive into practice, pick them up from practice.
Now I'm doing airport runs.
Yeah.
Like I brought my friend to the airport last week,
Oh,
4:30
that's
in
so
the morning,
awesome.
4:30 in the morning,
So
and I got to
great.
pick up Friday at midnight. So
That's so great.
now I'm the chauffeur, I guess.
That's awesome.
Were your friends against it? If so, are they
No, they weren't. My friends weren't. They were actually happy, but they were kind of sad that they're not used to not picking me up. Although sometimes I'll be like, I just got out of work, for old time's sake, you want to grab me? So I don't have to drive.
It's funny because I being in New York, I don't have a car and I barely drive and I don't enjoy driving. And I'm a terrible driver now because I never drive. Um, so it's really interesting. I probably need to like, do it more to feel more comfortable again because I just really despise it. And it's almost become a little bit of a fear of mine. So it's really
Oh,
nice to hear
I
this.
went to the city, you know where Radio City Music Hall is? They sent me there for a special MRI, and I had like a panic attack being a passenger in the city. It was before Corona, but I was like, I can't do this. I got to get out of here
Yeah.
because people just walk in front of you. There would be no way you get me. I'll take the train to see you, but I'm not driving to the city. No way. No way. It's
Yeah,
like, it's not busy like that now, though, right?
it is. It's really bad now
Is it? Again?
because um, the restaurants are in the streets. There's electrical bikes. There's bikes. There's scooters. There's Vespas. There's children. There's mother and their strollers. I mean, it's just been so, it's actually way worse now than before the pandemic because now they have, restaurants in the streets. So it's really dangerous to drive here. Actually, it's becoming more of a walking city and a bike city than it is cars, which is great because but still, driving is gridlock.
I always ask them if they tell me they have to send me for an MRI. I'm like, do you have to send me to the city? Because I'm not going.
Exactly.
What were your thoughts about driving back up until 12 years old?
I was very nervous in the beginning, but after a while I was okay. I actually tend to pick, because I noticed when I was going through my driving hours, every time I had a different instructor, I would have anxiety. So I booked with the same woman the entire time and I was fine. Because everybody teaches different.
How long did
So
it take you out?
how long what? I don't understand the question.
I accidentally hit.
Oh,
Oh.
you accidentally hit. Okay. Thank you for letting us know. Look at that.
What were your thoughts about driving when your peers were going through the process?
I was kind of sad that I couldn't do it either.
That's good, I find that in this day and age, we oftentimes try to not think of the feelings that people are going through and sort of like make people happy and, distract them from what they're really feeling. So it's good that you're telling us that you were sad because, it's an apropos feeling. Um, it's something that, it's probably feels a lot worse than someone who's sad because they didn't pass the exam or sad because they had to take it again or they're a year younger than all their friends. Like I've had a couple that, like those November babies, like when we were 16 and they had to wait till the whole other,
My
that was,
daughter's August, so she would have graduated high school at 17, but she hated it. She graduated at 16 in 3 years.
wow.
So she actually went to UConn at 16.
Wow. That's amazing.
But she got her license right at 16 because she was responsible. My son, I kind of put it off and
Did you need specific skills between 16 and now regarding CP?
nope, I just had to do those tests to make sure my reflexes were good and do driving hours with the driving school.
What made you
I got tired of relying on people. Like I was like, I can't, I didn't go through all these surgeries to still not have my license.
yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What made you wait?
I wasn't medically cleared, so I had to wait until they medically cleared me.
Hmm.
Was it hard to get doctors to allow you to start this process?
No, it wasn't because I talked to the doctor about it when Dr. Roy retired and I got Dr. Selber. I talked to him about it the very first time I met him. So that he pretty much was backed in a corner. He couldn't tell me no.
Mm-hmm. So when you had all those surgeries, it's like, yeah, they had to wait. It's like all those surgeries sort of like created this ending.
It improved
Success.
my gait. Like
Yeah.
if you saw me now, I'm so close to normal, it's scary. Like you probably be like, whoa. A lot of people, unless I tell them, they don't know that I have CP.
Right.
So I've had, I think, 7 since high school.
Wow.
So
Well,
I mean,
have you taken video at all of like when you were little walking to now?
my mom has some, yeah. I don't have any now.
I'd love to see those actually.
Yeah. Well, we're all vaccinated now, so we can get together.
Okay, that sounds good.
We could take the train to the city
Exactly.
because Kayla didn't get to come last time.
I know. Exactly.
What if you did not have the Cerebral Palsy Center?
You know, I had no treatment from the time it was Newington Children's Hospital when I was younger, and then they merged with Connecticut Children Medical. And I actually just got all my records. I couldn't believe they still had them. And they aged me out. So I had no treatment from the time I was 19 up until 3 years ago. 3 years ago. So I really have had 7 surgeries in like a 4-year period.
Mm. Really interesting. That's a miracle. that they
Because
were-
nobody,
Yeah.
and I was just telling, I went for my annual exam today, like people, you tell them you have cerebral palsy and they like run from you, like you're contagious or something, you know. A lot of doctors, they're just not educated. So
And
they don't,
yeah, I
even primary care doctors.
and they're afraid to make the diagnosis, I think, too. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but
I just feel like med school should touch on it more than they do.
Mm.
Like for instance, when I had my hip injection, Dr. Selber had a student in there. And he's like really intrigued by the muscular skeletal. So he's been really following Dr. Selber. And he said they've had 1 4-hour lecture. That's it.
Mm. I know.
He said anything he learned was from Dr. Selber. That's it. He's like, I'm like a sponge. I just follow the guy around and learn something all the time.
That's cool.
I'm actually taking a part in a study with them at Weinberg. They like when people are in pain, I guess something's elevated in your blood. So they took that. And now they're saying there's genetic makers, where before they said it's not hereditary. They're saying that there's genetic makers and they're doing a big study on it.
Cool.
So I don't know if that means for like certain types of CP or all CP. I'm not sure.
I know that anything with a disability, especially since we have to deal with more paperwork. Did you have a lot of extra paperwork obstacles?
Just one form that he had to sign off on that I was medically okay. Yeah, just one form.
Look at that. It's interesting.
Did you need extra driving hours?
I
And
didn't.
how
They
did
told
you
me I
do
was ready,
that?
but I chose to take them extra just because DMV was so backlogged that it was like 2 months before you had your test. So I took an hour every week right up until my test, just so I could stay on track.
I know that you have had surgeries. Were any specific to this? If not, were there any surgeries that secondarily helped with the hope of driving?
I had some tendon releases, so in leg lengthening, so those improve your gait and speed up your reflexes because they're not so tight when they do that. So it definitely did help.
Will you need extra paperwork signed by a doctor every time you renew your license?
No. Nope.
That's interesting. It's like I think when you reach a certain age now, you have to redo it, right?
Not in the US, and they should. I
Oh.
know in Australia, because my in-laws moved there for a
Yeah.
while, but they're back
Right. We
now.
had that conversation.
At 70, you have to take your driving test
Yeah.
every year. At
Unless a
night
family
and during the
member-
day.
Unless a family member requests it, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, unless a doctor pulls your license, but
Yeah,
they don't normally do that here, which is ridiculous because some people should not be driving.
I don't know. Some of our, yeah, I don't know. It's a
How
free
has it been
country.
driving for a few months now?
June, July, August. So almost 3 months.
How has it been driving for a few months now?
It's it's nice to be able to get in the car when you want and not have to call somebody for a ride. But after being behind the wheel again, I was like, oh, I really don't miss this. Because people are not nice on the road. They're really not.
Yeah, lots of road rage. I feel like pandemic really created even more. Like there's a lot of racing and a lot of when I was out in California, it was like the driving there is 10 times worse because of the 6-lane highway. I was like happy to just be on my bike, scooter, running, walking. Again, I'd be like I was in California as a New Yorker. I was like pretending it was still New York, and that's not how it works there.
I love California, but it's so much money to live there.
Yeah, it's
Well,
ridiculous.
so is the city.
Yeah, it's the same. But here it's expected. So when you go to California, you're like, I don't know, there's something about it where I don't know if you think you're going to get more for your money or, but then I also understand why it's so expensive
Well,
because like they
Connecticut's not any better. Our
no,
taxes are.
exactly.
No.
And the beauty of California, like those parks, they keep them so clean, the beaches, all of that stuff, requires taxes and things like that. So I'm like, okay, paying taxes for something like that. But, no matter where. And if you live yeah, it depends on what state you live for sure.
Yeah.
What would you tell others talking about the future regarding driving, as there are many feelings we feel about particular life events?
I would say go for it. I regret not asking sooner because to get it at 45 is kind of like crazy. Like everybody was like, why bother at this point? But it's never too late to improve yourself.
No, for me, you both helped me to evaluate my fears and then like why are we so fearful. It's everything is possible. You just have to it's our mind that makes it not possible.
I mean, I had 2 children naturally that they don't recommend it in CP patients, and my doctor wasn't too happy, but it just is a lack of knowledge. They recommend C-section, and I didn't have my kids by C-section.
Yeah.
Because your hips are already compromised. So I do believe that that's why I have such bad hip problems now.
Yeah, makes sense.
But they don't know. They're not educated. So it's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
But I did tell them today, I'm like, they don't recommend it. Just because if anybody else walks in there, you never know.
Wow. Well, this was amazing information. This concludes our first series segment of the Inside Scoop of Living with Cerebral Palsy. It is United Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month in October. So we will be doing many mini series to celebrate the month. So stay tuned.
Yay. See you next time. Bye, Kayla. Bye.